Hello and welcome to the show. I'm your host. And for our lead story this evening, we lines be speaking to three-time Olympic gold medalist and former world record holder Jonathan Edwards, who turns 50 for tomorrow. That's right. Happy birthday, Jonathan. Hope you enjoy your big day, wherever you are. Well, Jonathan, you can probably appreciate the fact that 30 years is a long time. In the context of your world record in the triple jump, it is 30 years this week since you set that incredible world record of 18 points to 9 meters here in Gothenburg. Can you appreciate the fact that 30 years on, no one has come close to beating it? Well, I do. Don't get me wrong. I'm incredibly proud of it, and I do think there is any athlete alive that would want to hold a world record. But it isn't really how I remember the occasion. To be honest with you, I do think it is a good sign for athletics as a sport that you have a record that stands for 30 years. When you think of all the developments in sports science, nutrition, training methods, all of those things, I don't think it necessarily speaks to a really healthy and thriving sport, if I'm honest. Only 7 men ever have jumped further than 18 meters. So what makes you so special? I suppose if you look at my career, I was always a little bit different to most triple jumpers. Most triple jumpers are technically brilliant, whereas I'd probably class myself as a sprinter that does a hop, step, and jump at the end. So I never really looked like other triple jumpers. I always looked more like a footballer almost. Yeah, my style wasn't like other people. My build wasn't like other people. I was very light for a triple jumper, 71 kilos. But I think that gave me an advantage in terms of power to weight and also in terms of being able to absorb forces. And that was very important because I had a very simple technique, but it was done at a lot higher speed than most people. And that's why maybe I could jump further than them. So you landed a world record of 18.16 in the opening round and then bettered it again in the next round, adding another 13 centimeters. Tell us about that jump. Well, it was very strange because obviously the first round I jumped 18.16, which at the time was a world record. And I came down, I'd got cramp in my calf, and I thought, oh no, I can't do this. This is gonna be a long night. We've got 3 rounds to go. And then luckily, I was able to walk it out, but I didn't realize until afterwards that I'd actually jumped further. I thought I'd jumped about 18 meters. And when they put the 18 points and 9 up, I couldn't believe it. It wasn't that I felt I'd jumped amazingly. I just jumped the same way I jumped every other time. And then when I came down and saw that I'd jumped further, that's when I felt amazing. But in terms of the jump itself, it wasn't a great deal different to any other jump that I did. Maybe I felt a little bit freer, a little bit more relaxed after the first round because I knew I'd got the world record. But either way, I shouldn't have jumped any further because I was completely cramped. I should have been absolutely buggered, but maybe that's why I jumped further. Who knows? But even then you weren't convinced. I didn't believe it. No, I didn't. I felt uncomfortable about accepting that I jumped that far because no one else had jumped that far. And if no one else could jump that far, then I must not have jumped that far. It was that bizarre. I couldn't equate that to what I knew about my sport. So I didn't believe it. I still think if I hadn't have seen the video afterwards and seen how far I jumped, I'd have thought I jumped about 18 meters. And that's how far it was from the truth. I was completely wrong. You mentioned that you have cramp. And how much of a factor physically is that kind of pain and injury at such a crucial point in your career? Well, I had cramp and I had injured my Achilles, my calf. I think it's because I was so nervous. I was so tense. I had butterflies in my stomach. I was sick before the final, and I think that affected my body, and my body just reacted badly. It crapped up on me, and that's why I started having problems. But it was only that first round. After that, I was fine. Luckily, I was able to warm into the competition, and I was able to relax, and everything went okay. But, I had injuries throughout my whole career, and that was the problem. I pushed my body pretty hard, and sometimes too hard, and it just broke down on me. And I had stress fractures. I had hamstring problems. I had a lot of injuries, so this final, you had already secured gold. By the time you managed that final jump, you needed a 17.97 to secure gold. So tell us about the pressure going into that final. Well, I didn't feel pressure. To be honest with you, I don't think I'd felt pressure all week. The only pressure I felt was self-imposed pressure. I put a lot of pressure on myself. I wanted to perform well. I wanted to win. And I don't think the other athletes put pressure on me. I don't think the crowd put pressure on me. I was just putting pressure on myself. And that's what made it difficult, and that's why I was so tense. I mean, I remember the high jump final the night before. Ha. It was just bouncing up and down and making a real fool of myself because I was so nervous. I was so tense. And I think that affected my performance in the first round. I don't think it affected it in the second round. But it was bizarre, really, because I was expected to win. I was expected to jump well, and yet I was nervous. I was scared. And I don't think that's normal. So do you think there's a lack of investment in athletics compared to other sports? And if so, how does that affect aspiring young athletes? Yeah, I think there's no doubt about that. If you look at the levels of funding, it's nowhere near what it used to be. When I was competing, we had lottery funding, we had national coaching schemes, we had everything that we needed to compete at the highest level. And I think that's lacking now, and I think that's why we're seeing fewer athletes come through. I think it's also a product of the fact that athletics isn't necessarily seen as a cool sport. And I think that's why a lot of kids don't get into it. I think it's a shame because athletics is the ultimate sport. It incorporates every sport, every discipline within it, from the team relays to individual events, throwing, jumping, sprinting, middle distance, long distance. You name it, it's got it. Do you think advancements in technology, particularly around footwear, would help athletes break your record? Not necessarily. I think shoes are fantastic, and they definitely help people on the track. Look at the amount of world records that have been broken on the track over the last few years. It's phenomenal, and I think that's testament to the work that shoe companies have done. But I'm not sure it necessarily helps people in the jumping events. To be honest with you, I think the shoes probably hinder people. There's so much carbon fiber in there, and it probably inhibits people rather than helps them. I mean, I say that as someone who's never tried them. But I think if you look at the design of the shoe, it's designed for economy of movement, and it's designed for a more rhythmic type of movement, whereas triple jumping and long jumping is explosive, it's powerful. And I am not sure that a carbon fiber plate is able to cope with that sort of intense force and then offer anything on the rebound, because I am not sure that we're re-seeing that on the track. You're re-seeing athletes who are actually getting a spring effect, and that's why you're re-seeing some of the times that you're re-getting. But the forces are so extreme in triple jump, indeed long jump, even high jump when people take off, and I am not sure that that sort of trampoline effect is able to have the same impact. Are you surprised that no one has come close to beating your record in the last 30 years? Yes, I am. I think it's fair to say that if you look at most events, most world records, they get beaten every 2 to 3 years. Some of them get beaten every year, and I think that's testament to the developments in sports science, nutrition, training methods. But in the triple jump, nothing's happened. And that's a little bit disappointing. Will the record ever be broken? Yeah, I think it will. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here thinking that my record's gonna stand for forever. It will get beaten. I just don't know when. To be honest with you, I don't know how I'm gonna feel when it happens. I hope I feel happy for the athlete. I hope I feel that they deserve it. I hope they've jumped amazingly. And if they have, I'll be their biggest fan. Jonathan Edwards, 3-time Olympic gold medalist, former world record holder in the triple jump. Hope you enjoyed your big birthday yesterday. Thank you. That's very kind of you. We'll leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. You can follow us across social media. And please make sure you subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. Until next time, thanks for watching.